Bali, a tropical paradise famous for beautiful rice paddies, amazing surf, sensational beaches and some of the friendliest and most genuine locals in the world. My name is Matt and I've been lucky enough to call this island home for the last 2 years. This video is for people who are coming to Bali for a holiday and want to know the best things to see and do, or for those who are planning to move to Bali as an expat and want to learn about the island first. Let's start with some facts about Bali. Bali is one of 18,000 islands in the Indonesian archipelago, just to the right of Java, the largest island, and to the left of Lombok and the Gili Islands. Bali is home to 4.3 million residents and is visited by a staggering 10 million tourists every year, which means that Bali is one of the busiest islands in Indonesia. The local currency here is Indonesian rupiah, which has an insane number of zeros on it, so 1 million IDR is equivalent to only $67. So when you come here, you're likely to be an overnight millionaire. Lucky you. When travelling into Bali, you're most likely to fly into Rupiah International Airport, Denpasar Airport. Despite its name, the airport isn't actually located in Denpasar, it is located further south in Kuta. Currently, there are now 72 countries which qualify for the visa on arrival to Bali, which means if you plan to stay less than 60 days, you can simply just arrive into the country without any need for pre-visas or prior planning. If you are not on this list, or you're wanting to stay longer than this 60-day period, you can apply for an offshore B211 visa. This visa is valid for an initial 60 days, but can be extended once you're here in Indonesia. Once you arrive into the airport, you'll be greeted by many taxi drivers competing for your business and offering to take you anywhere you need to go. You can save a little bit of money here by pre-installing the Gojek or Grab apps. We'll talk a little bit more about this later. But do know that the other taxis who are already there waiting have to pay a huge fee to be allowed into this airport, so paying a few extra dollars to use this is favoured by the regular Bali travellers to help support the local economy. So where should you stay in Bali? I've actually made a specific video on this, which I'll put a link to on the screen now, and I'll also run through it now with you too. The most popular places for travellers or holiday goers to visit while they're staying here in Bali are Canggu on the south coast, Ubud up in the centre of Bali, Kuta even further south, and Seminyak, which sits between Kuta and Canggu. Let's start with Canggu. Canggu was once a small surfer town, but now is a mecca for the everyday traveller. Spoilt by the most amazing restaurants in all of Bali, amazing surf spots, and some of the most lively bars, Canggu has a little something for everyone. If you're staying in Canggu, you must explore the various cafes and restaurants and explore the diverse mix of food. Grab a surfboard and have a surf lesson in the world famous surf. Head to the beach at sunset for a coconut, and if you're lucky, one of the best sunsets you'll ever see. If you're looking for something more relaxing and spiritual, then Ubud might be the place for you. With stunning rice fields, amazing people and beautiful architecture, Ubud rightly deserves its nickname of the cultural hotspot of Bali. Many people travel to Ubud to immerse themselves in nature, relax and reset, which is easy to do here with a more laid-back lifestyle and stunning environment. If you visit Ubud, you must trek the Ridge Walk. This is a gorgeous 6-kilometre walk and starts in the centre of Ubud and winds its way through rice paddies, ancient villages and breathtaking scenery. Head to Galilang rice paddies and explore the various waterfalls in this area. Those looking for a little bit more of a party vibe might end up staying in Kuta or Seminyak, both famous for not only their beautiful stretch of beach, but their huge party scene. Massive clubs, bars and restaurants litter these towns, so if a party isn't what you're looking for, you might want to stay somewhere else. In my opinion, these places can be really fun to go and visit for a night or two, but a little too much to stay there. There are some other places that you could stay, including Sanur, Amed, Lavina and Bidugal, but my personal opinion is that none of these places have enough uniqueness about them to warrant staying there, and are a little bit too far away from main things that you'd want to do while you're here in Bali. Getting around. There is really only one way to get around once you're here in Bali, and that's using a scooter. You can rent a scooter cheaply and easily at only about 50,000 per day, around $4. But remember that Bali is super busy and the roads will feel crazy the first few times that you jump on your bike. So if you have little to no experience riding a scooter or a bike, then take some lessons. Speak to your scooter rental company and ask them about it. They'll be able to point you in the direction of some lessons. Please remember to always wear your helmet and stay on the left if you're going to be going nice and slowly. You could hire a car, but a car is only really good for getting you from one town to another. If you're wanting to use your car in the town that you're going to be spending your time in, then you're going to spend most of your time in traffic. Traffic in some of the areas in Bali is crazy. It's not uncommon to spend an hour driving only about 500 meters. If you really don't want to drive a bike, then there are great systems of motorbike taxis which are cheap and reliable. Motorbike taxis will always carry a spare helmet for you and are often the best drivers on the road. You are also fully insured when you ride with a motorbike taxi, so if you were to have a little bump, then rest assured that you'll be automatically covered by the bikes company you've used. Taxi cars are also available, and these can be very good options if you're going to jump from town to town and covering a large distance that you might not want to do on a bike. But again, if you are only using this to go within a town, then you are going to spend a lot of time in traffic. This is because the small roads on the island and the lack of a proper planning has resulted in a large bottleneck areas in various notorious places. You can order a taxi in two ways. You can pre-order a taxi through one of the apps I mentioned and we'll talk about later, and there are pay-as-you-drive ones that you can flag down. Some areas of Bali forbid you to use the application taxis, so you'll need to jump in a pay-as-you-go cab. A common company is Bluebird and rates are still very affordable. Public transport is basically non-existent, so I won't even talk about that. Trips to take. One of the best things to do while you're here in Bali is pack your camera, sunscreen, grab a few mates and head out on a day trip. So in no particular order, I'm going to list some of the best day trips that you can do while you're here, starting with the Gates of Heaven. Known locally as Pura, Lahore, Lempuyang, the Bali Gates of Heaven are an iconic tourist spot located in East Bali. Famous for its reflection and its view of Mount Agung, tourists flock and queue every single day to get a picture at this famous spot. But that's not really why you should come here. This can be very touristy and you can end up queuing for hours. What is really special is about 10 minutes away. If you're prepared to jump on your bike and head into the mountains, you can find Lahangan Suite, a viewpoint of Mount Agung, very famous and insanely crazy. This iconic photo opportunity gives you one of the best views of Agung without the mass crowds and queues. Next trip to take is the dolphin exploration up in Lavina in the north of Bali. This once-in-a-lifetime experience costs as little as $5 per person and consists of a 3-hour boat trip at sunrise. You'll head out into the ocean and with the help of a very skilled boat driver, you'll look for the dolphins in their natural environment. This can take hours sometimes, but it's well worth the wait. Once you find them, you can jump into the ocean and swim around with them with some snorkel equipment. You get a true sense that the dolphins are just as happy to see you as they swim around you in the boat, jumping out of the water and singing to you. It's truly breathtaking. Next is a little bit more down to earth. Bali has one of the most exciting water parks called Water Bomb. Some very modern and fun rides are combined with a little jungle setting, which makes this one of the most beautiful parks I've ever been to. Well worth a day trip. Another must do is to visit some of the ancient temples here in Bali. Bali is home to some of the world's most amazing Hindu temples. Two of my favourite include Uluwatu Temple, a stunning temple of the cliffs of Uluwatu. Here you can be blessed by a monk and enjoy the local monkeys playing around with you whilst viewing the breathtaking Uluwatu cliffs up close and personal. Tanah Lot near Canggu is my second favourite. This incredible temple is on a rock which spends half of its life out at sea, and then when the tide goes out can be accessed by tourists and locals alike. This amazing experience of accessing the temple feels magical as you're literally walking across the ocean seabed to get there. Both of these temples also have amazing walking routes you can take around the edge of the island to get a better view or just to get lost in nature. Another must and a bit of a classic here in Bali is to visit the Tegalangan rice paddies up near Ubud. I'm confident that you've seen these images of these breathtaking rice paddies already, but nothing will prepare you for actually being here and witnessing them for yourselves. Take a guided tour of the paddies or just take a leisurely stroll, but take time to learn how the paddies work. It's amazing. Another classic is to hike Mount Batur. Mount Batur is an active volcano located in the centre of Bali on the northwest side of Mount Agung. It is one of the most accessible active volcanoes in Indonesia and can be summited in just 3 hours. Often this means setting out at 3 AM to peak at sunrise and give you one of the most insane views of Bali that not everyone is privileged to. Book a local guide to add a local flavour on your hike, cooking potatoes in the rocks and sometimes even playing the guitar for you while you're walking. Last but certainly not least is to head up to Ahmed and get a scuba diving session in. This unique area houses some of the best coral and visibility that Bali has to offer. Head a little further around the corner and you can dive the Liberty shipwreck, which has one of the most amazing histories. Liberty was a US cargo ship torpedoed by the Japanese in 1942 and beached on the coast of Bali. In 1963, the Liberty met her final resting place. The volcano Mount Agung, which is in the backdrop, became active for the first time in 120 years, causing a series of serious earthquakes. The land movement caused the ship to slip off the beach and into deeper water, breaking her at her bow and stern. What an awesome history to be a small part of. Now let's talk about some beaches. You can't come to Bali without checking out some of the most amazing beaches in the world. But not all beaches in Bali are the same. In fact, if you only stay in one place, you could end up being quite disappointed and wonder what all the hype is about. Bali is a volcanic island, and therefore some of the beaches are black volcanic sand. And whilst this is cool, it might not be the look you're looking for. So I'm going to give you my top 5 beaches that you should definitely check out while you're here. Number 1, and my personal favourite, Echo Beach. Echo Beach can be found in the Canggu area of Bali on the south coast. It's a black sand beach, and whilst it's not the most pretty beach in the world, this is one of the most iconic. Come anytime and get involved in some of the world-class surf, volleyball, or just chill with a coconut and capture the vibe. Echo Beach is a must. Next we'll head down into the Uluwatu area, specifically Binging. Binging is a cool little surf town on the western coast of Uluwatu. The beach here is only accessible through a mini stair hike, which makes it a little bit off the beaten path. Catch some golden sand and awesome blue water in this little paradise. Uluwatu hosts the majority of the nicest beaches in Bali. White sand meets that clear, crisp blue water. Cold coconuts and less tourists make these some of the best spots to visit. Highlights would include Bingin Beach, like I talked about, Padang Padang Beach tucked under a bridge hidden away from the clouds, Pandawa on the south coast with some of the whitest sand on the island and often very few people there, and Nusa Dua Beach on the east coast of Uluwatu. Glorious white sand, impeccable cleanliness thanks to the 5-star hotels around it that pay to keep it all clean. Okay, let's talk about some apps to download. 2 major apps that I've already mentioned that you should definitely download are Gojek and Grab. Both offer a full range of services from food to home removals. Both are similarly priced, preferences come to just what food options are available on them. Not much more to say about this, just download and pre-register before you arrive. Let's talk about costs and pricing. Prices can vary dramatically depending on where you go in Bali. If you go to a more local traditional area, you're going to spend significantly less than if you were in, say, Canggu. Canggu is probably one of the most expensive areas at the minute due to its thriving tourism and incredibly cool things to do here. But in general, things are very affordable here in Bali. If you do want to save more money, spend time at places where the locals eat and drink. If you were to eat in a local warung, which is like the name of a small restaurant, local restaurant, you can eat for as little as $2 or $3. If you were to go to a fancy new restaurant that's been built on the cliffs, you're going to spend up to $10 to $15, even $20. So a huge diversity depending on where you eat. Taxis and day trips are all super cheap. Cost of beer, again, can be very cheap, but I have made a specific cost of living video, which again, I'll link here. Okay, just a couple of extra things then to mention that could help you. Firstly, the internet in Bali is exceptional. I have not been to anywhere else in Asia with such reliable and fast internet. So if you're coming to Bali but you still need to work, or you're considering moving to Bali as a digital nomad, then rest assured they've got you covered. It's very normal for all restaurants and bars to offer very fast, free Wi-Fi. I have joined so many by now that I just bounce from Wi-Fi to Wi-Fi as I drive around. Next thing to mention is your plugs. Most power plugs and sockets in Indonesia are type C and F. This plug is the 2-pin socket and plug design, which is the standard European plug. If you're coming from a country that does not use this plug, you should then buy an adapter. Avoid buying them in the airport as these can be quite expensive. Bali is super cheap for most things, but some things here are weirdly expensive, and sun cream is certainly one of them. A normal bottle can cost you around $20. The sun can be relentless here, so bringing a bottle of sun cream with you from home should save you some cash. And finally, the weather. Bali has a 6-month dry season and a 6-month wet season, so be careful when you plan your trip. Bali rain season kicks off in November and will end towards the end of March. The heaviest of the rain will fall around December and January time. Conversely, the dry season sits between April and October, with the sunniest days being July and August. Well, there you have it, guys. Hopefully this guide has been useful for you in your plans to come to Bali. Enjoy your trip. Catch you next time. soon.